the Pledge of Allegiance. Today may I be open to others' ideas and beliefs, respectful of our differences, not threatened by them. May I grow in understanding of my own motives, knowing that people often act out of their own fears. May I be a force for replacing fear with insight, helping us all to be patient and kind as we talk. Strength, real strength, can always find compromise, working together. May we find a common ground, enable us to move forward with a shared purpose. May we see what is truly important and unites us. Focusing on that to banish roadblocks and ego and fear, today may I be open to others' ideas and beliefs. Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and once again, welcome. October 15th, council meeting. Okay. Roll call, I guess.
Mrs. Lingo?
Here.
Mr. Parsons?
Here.
Mr. Redding?
Here.
Mrs. Dosa?
Here.
Mr. George?
Here.
Mr. Young?
Here.
Mrs. Rissel?
Okay, all 7 are accounted for. That's wonderful. Minutes from the October 1st, 2024 council meeting you have before you. Is there any corrections that anybody has seen that need to be made? Nobody? Good job.
I make a motion to adopt the minutes as printed.
Mr. Parsons has made a motion to adopt as printed. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. George has seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Correspondence. I think all of you have a letter from the Library Foundation of Cincinnati and Hamilton County before you. You have been invited to a sneak peek Friday, November 1st. The library branch will open on Saturday the 2nd. Is that correct? Yes. And we need to RSVP, so if anybody's going or wants to go, well, we let the office know. That's all I have. Does anybody else have any correspondence? Okay, moving on then to guest and special events. We have none. Mr. Bauer, is that correct? Public input. We have some people signed up here who would like to address City Council tonight. Tara? How do you say your last name, Tara?
Irby, like Arby's with the I.
Okay.
What you want me to say?
Your name and address, please.
My name is Tara Irby. I'm a registered nurse, but this is part of me. I live at 1428 Van Fleet Avenue. I've been there 28 years. The reason why I'm coming is about my street, Van Fleet. I have a neighbor, well, I know I had Reggie, but I'm not talking about, I had a neighbor on he lives at 1425, and he is just, he's called me everything but a child of God. He's threatening. He cussed out all the women on the street. His kids have the empty house next to me at 1432. It's been empty for 3 years. Today, there's a trampolines and a basketball court there, but no one lives there. I don't know why the kids put that there. If I say something to them kids, they'll cuss me out, okay? They ring my doorbell. They're very disrespectful. I don't know. We got to do something for these kids. I don't know. But, you know, the neighborhood has gone down. I don't even want to live here in Mount Healthy no more because of this one neighbor.
Yes.
And I've tried to look to see who owns the house. He doesn't. And he's just, he has old cars all on the street. My son tire 3 times got a hole in it because he works his cars on the street. In his driveway right now, he's got 3 broken down cars. It's a mess around there. They have dogs. Their dog poops in my yard.
I'm
You
sure
know.
he doesn't clean it up, right?
And he doesn't clean it up. But these kids today is just getting, there's no supervision for these kids. They're not home with these kids. And it's other kids down the street on Van Fleet. They all come up there. And it's like a threat. Like last night, I was going to call the police. I said, no, I'm not. They sound like somebody was in my backyard. And you should not come on my property without,
Well, you really do, Ms. Irby, to call the police.
I've called the police before.
Yeah.
And they're not my friend. They've been very negative. When he jumped on me and my daughter, they was gonna arrest me and my daughter and not arrest him. But he tells me, I got friends in the police office. They'll let me go by. His van was taken because it was sitting there for like a year. Not moving. I've called the police to market. They don't do nothing about it. I just don't say nothing to him right now. And he cusses me out every time he look at me. I guess I'm supposed to be afraid of him. I don't know. But I told him I
Sounds like you ought
own
to
my
be
house.
wary
He
of him,
doesn't.
yes. Mr. Brower, what,
What's the, was it 1432?
he lives at 1425. The vacant house is 1432. I had the telephone number for the man that owned it. I've tried to call him several times. The kids play in that yard so much. Now they got this big old trampoline and a basketball hoop there. They don't even live there. So if something happened to them, their parents gonna sue that man that lives there.
I know at 1425, we have brought up the issue of his vehicles, and I see that there was a resolution. I don't know what the resolution was. I can look into it, but I know we've at least brought up the vehicles.
Well, he owns y'all. He said he got people in the office and he took care of y'all. Y'all can't do nothing to him. So that's the way he make me think he feel. But I told him I'm not afraid of him, okay? And everybody on my street do not like him. I've never had any problem with anybody on my street but him. He's done.
Is there an adult there at all?
It's a man and a woman, okay? The woman is on the lease. The man isn't. I got a neighbor down the street. He got some CMHA houses or something like that. He looked it up. We called CMHA. Of course, when they called, they must have told him, and he wasn't around. The dog run loose all the time. I told the dog, if it comes next to me, I'm gonna bite him before he bites me. Because my grandkids can't even go out there and play.
yeah, that's not right. You have a vile complaint, yes.
What you say?
We have a leash law too. Dogs have to be on leashes.
He said he owned y'all too. I'm telling you, he think he runs stuff, okay? And I told him about that. And my neighbor down the street, she walks her dog, pick up her poop and everything. He said it's not his dog poop. It is.
Well, Mr.
Just
Brower, if you
suggest
can-
again or reiterate to call the police when you do see an issue. And if-
Sometimes they do, sometimes they
Pictures
don't.
as well would do great if you've got a picture of his dog off the leash. I mean, that'd be amazing.
Okay,
To get that. I mean,
okay.
And we can talk, we'll talk to the police department. And
we
if-
have,
Okay.
we have emails that you can use. I mean, we won't say who it is that reported it.
Well,
I mean,
he'll look and just say, I know it's her.
Yeah. more
He
than-
will say that, And I have 7 brothers, and they come over. He don't say nothing to them. But when I'm by myself, I have a son, 18. He ain't worth nothing anyway. But but I'm there majority of the time, and he will cuss me out and everything. But when my brothers don't come in, don't say nothing. And also, I'm talking about the streets. We got some holes down there. You know why? Because he's got these big commercial trucks. He don't have it no more, but he had these big commercial trucks down there. But he can do it because he knows somebody up at the police. That's it.
Well, we know somebody from the police department too.
Too, okay. And I have seen the police come down. I usually didn't have them see it, but they made a comment. I made a comment to them, so now they come and flash the light about 11:30. I'm like, that's okay, I don't care. I'm glad you're coming down. because they normally never come down the street. They said because nothing happens, we're quiet. We all old down there, you know?
Down there.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Thank you. for
Thank
coming.
you.
Ms.
Thank you
Irby,
for
and we'll
coming.
sure take care of it. Dwight Weesey.
I've been here enough. You actually said it the right way.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You talk.
All right, Dwight Weesey, 1421 St. Clair Avenue, Tree Commission, here just to give you a quick update of what's going on and to solicit your help. We're in a we have brought on Jerry Frankenhoff. I bet you Scott has actually shared a lot more of some of these, so I'll just reiterate it and go through it. You know, he is a consultant now for us as an arborist part-time. ISA board certified master arborist, has an ISA municipal certification, and also a tracks qualification, which is one of the specific needs we had for doing the surveys and determining what kind of hazard we might have with our trees here. He has started tree surveys here in the city, and he also is starting to work on preparing bids for going out for doing tree plantings here along Perry Street. So those activities are moving forward. We are a little bit in a hold at the moment that we've, at the strong urging of Wendy Vandenberg, who is our ODNA urban forester for this region and the overseer for the grant, had urged us to do 100% tree survey for the city, which is a great thing. I mean, as a tree commission, that's one of the things we've been struggling as volunteers to try to really pull that together, and it's really hard to do all that on paper, and Jerry's coming in and actually digitizing the whole thing, which is a wonderful thing to have. But that has to have a restructuring a little bit of the grant, and we're waiting on the state to get back to us for the restructuring approval on it. But, I mean, right now, they all say, yes, it's gonna go through. We just gotta get the I's dotted and T's crossed for it. That explain it pretty well, like you understand? Okay, good on it. But that, we're now ready to start looking forward and understanding that, you know, this was 2 rounds that they expected to be part of this whole grant process. We're looking to start seeing what kind of ideas do we want to go after for the next round of grants. We expect that will come out here at the start of the new year, that the application time frame, and with the awards coming towards a May-June time frame, with the start of that grant actually being right at the start of July, start of second or third quarter of 2025, which is at the same time that the current grant will be running out. With that in mind, we've got our own ideas, but we know that there's a lot more out there. And the more we can collective ideas, we'd like to do that. So we're asking your help. We're also asking if we can maybe even do it as have a public soliciting session where we could do it just before one of the city council meetings. Maybe something like a month from now. Was that November 19th or something like that?
19th,
That we take that half hour beforehand, just have it open here, if we could, to allow the public to share any ideas that they might have. And we could get that out then as part of the city minutes on the website, something like that. So that's what I'm here to share, ideas. Do hope to, it does sound like it's gonna be structured exactly like the last one, where it's gonna be 100% funding. It will have to be, you know, to some of the criterias that the state has for how you do any tree planting or tree care, but that they would pay for the whole thing. So we're looking to see if we could maybe even do a little bit more than we do this time. Questions?
You said you would like to have a meeting on November 19th. We
Yes.
have a park commission meeting that day, but if we need to move over, we can.
Okay, would it work if we did it another night, or,
That's up to.
If
what-
we would-
I'm open.
If we would do it as a public hearing, you could do it right at 7 o'clock.
That's true.
It'll
Okay.
probably take 10 or 15 minutes. It could take longer.
Can we
I
get
would-
that put up on the boards, on the sign over here on the corner, and maybe down on a new one about that meeting?
What,
And the park commission.
What date did we say again?
19
19.
on electronic, yeah. You can come
Can do
around.
that,
Yep.
yeah, use our fancy new sign.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weesey. Okay, we have then Lacey Worley.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm Lacey Worley. I'm the branch manager at the Mount Healthy Public Library at 7608 Hamilton Avenue currently. I wanted to take the opportunity to share with everyone our exciting news that we will officially be opening at the new location at 7700 Hamilton Avenue on November 2nd. It was previously shared that our services were going to be limited during the month of October due to moving preparations. So I wanted to give a more detailed timeline of what's going to happen and what to expect for the rest of this month leading up to the opening day. So currently, all youth programs and story times are pausing and will resume when we open in the new building. October 26th will be the last day of full services. So with that being said, we really want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to stop into the current location, to walk around, and we do have some old pictures of the library that are posted around to take a look at and reminisce on. We also have a memory board where people can share their memories, their favorite memories of the branch with everyone. And then on October 28th through the 30th, we will only be open for holds pickup. So we will not have any materials on the shelves for browsing, and we will not have computers or printing, faxing services available. But if anybody is needing to use any of those services during that time, you can visit any one of our local neighboring branches. There's Groesbeck, there's College Hill, and there's also the North Central branch that can help. And then lastly, we will be closed October 31st and November 1st to finalize everything for the move. And then we will go into our big grand opening on November 2nd. So,
The city's excited about it. I can stop at the restaurant up here to have lunch, and people are talking about the new library.
yes,
So they are excited.
great, great. We are so very excited. We're looking forward to everybody seeing the new location. It looks amazing. But I do want to thank all of you so much for the support you've shown over the years for the library. It really means so much to us that so many people are excited and looking forward to this move. So even though it's closing a chapter on the old branch, we're going to open a new chapter in this new location, and we're really looking forward and excited about it.
Right.
You all do a great job.
Thank
do.
you so much. Appreciate it.
Any other questions for Lacey? Yes, Mr. Redding.
The Book Brigade,
Yes.
is that by invitation only, or?
So right now, the Book Brigade is going to be invitation only, and Mrs. Dosa will be sharing a little bit more about that in her update as well.
All right,
And you RSVP by today.
yeah, I can't make it.
There's still time, no worries. Thank you.
I'm a little bit, I'm well known for my electronically being challenged. I don't do things very well. I can use a phone, but only to call people. You got rid of the card catalog, is that correct? That was my go-to.
The physical card catalog, yes. Now it's all on the computer.
Now, you lost me that night.
Well, we can teach you how.
That would be a challenge. But no, just teasing. I'm looking forward to coming over.
Great. We're looking forward to it too. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much for stopping by.
Thank you.
Anybody else who would like to address the council tonight? John, you didn't just come up here to stare at me, did you? Okay. Okay, we'll move on then to committees and commissions. Start with beautification, Ms. Lingo.
No report.
Business partnership and the alliance, Mr. Young.
Both mine, I'm going to defer to the city manager tonight.
Okay. Economic development also?
Same thing, yep.
Okay. Finance, Mr. Parsons.
No report tonight.
Well, library, Ms. Dosa.
Thank you. And thank you, Lacey, for coming tonight and giving us that update. And just to tag along to what Lacey talked about, I'll be attending the Brook Bucket Brigade, which is a ceremony to mark the last book to be moved from the old to the new Mount Healthy Branch Library. This is going to take place Thursday, October 17th at 11 a.m. It will start at the old library branch and then ending with comments and placement of the ribbon ahead of the ribbon cutting ceremony at the grand opening in November at the new location branch. And I have to say, Lacey said it best. It was on the main library's website. She said the journey of the final book symbolizes the last bond between our past and the bright future of Mount Healthy. And I love that because I think that that says a lot. Looking forward to seeing this new transition for us. There's also going to be an exclusive sneak peek event at the new branch Friday, November 1st. I believe everybody got an invitation on their desk. That is going to be, if you can respond to that, if you're going to come, that's from 4 to 6. The library will be officially opening, as has already been stated, on November 2nd. There'll be a grand opening event from 10 to 4. And it will start with a ribbon cutting ceremony and then move into some fun, family-friendly activities, which will be, more detail will come up with that later, closer to that time, because they didn't have what was listed. Moving on to park updates. The 2025 Summer Concert Series has been finalized. I think everybody got a copy of that. We're working towards deciding on if we're going to have food trucks or other food options for these concert series. More details will be coming from that later. October the 25th, can't talk tonight, y'all, I'm sorry. October 25th, we'll be having a movie night in the park starting at 7 p.m. We're going to be watching Hotel Transylvania 4. We will be providing snacks, so come out and support this event in the park. October 31st, there'll be a trunk or treat sponsored by Peachtree at the park from 5 to 8. They're still accepting candy donations and people to come and decorate their cars to give out candy. So please reach out to Sierra George, who is in charge of the nonprofit Peachtree. Her information is on the City of Mount Healthy website for her number and email where you can reach her at for more information if you want to participate, or call the city office and drop off donations of candy and she'll get it from there. Last but not least, we did talk about, well, 2 more things actually. Playground equipment structures is having a bench made with the Kenny Kiffmeyer name on it for the foundation, and the foundation would like to donate that to the park. And that's something that I need to talk to Scott, or Scott needs to talk to Scott Solomon about in terms of a gift being gifted to us and how that works out for the city, or if there's anything that we need to be concerned about. But I think that was very kind of them to want to donate a bench, and it's metal.
Nice.
So there won't be any rusting or anything like that, and they would take full responsibility for any of the maintenance that come with that. But they would like to donate that to the park and have it in the park where, near the play structures for parents to sit or people to come and have a seat in the park, and I think that's great. Christmas in Mount Healthy is upcoming. We have been talking about some upcoming plans. We have a lot of good things that are going to be happening in the park. That's December 14th. We're still working out the details for that, but in terms of the park, we know that we're going to have the skating ring. I know they're going to have Mr. and Mrs. Claus and Elves at the Martial Arts Building. We're going to be giving out some more kits. We're going to have a bonfire in the park, working with Chief Lawson on that. There's going to be a lot of different things that are going to be happening, but there'll be more details upcoming about that, and that will be finalized. And lastly, we'll have our next Park Commission meeting November 19th, 6 o'clock in Chambers, if it's available. If not, we'll move it across the hall. Any questions? I think I said a lot, sorry.
No, it's all right. Thank you. Okay, safety, Mr. Redding.
So, had a couple of safety committee meetings, one on October the 8th and one tonight. So first topic was UDF and alley safety. So we're going to, we discussed it last week. The Sturbers were up here again, and they brought up some other issues, and those have been documented, but it's been determined that we'll have a small work session this evening concerning that, and work towards a solution. So a couple of some other topics, public business hour restrictions. So there's been a revised ordinance that's on our desk, one concerning event halls. So we'd like council to entertain that as quickly as possible. And we can go over that during the ordinance readings. And there's been other discussions about businesses that are open around the clock and maybe providing security. Those businesses, asking those businesses to providing security when other businesses are closed. So basically from 2:30 to 5:30 or 1 to 5:30, somewhere around there.
We have an ordinance for that.
Yes, yes. We also have, that's the second ordinance. So, and then with that, so that takes care of the October the 8th meeting. Tonight's meeting, we discussed, let's see, oh, wait a minute, one more thing, proposed zoning updates. We had some discussion concerning that, and we're still researching that right now concerning new businesses in town and how we make sure we get business license or any updates to that, or any updates to businesses if they change their business model or anything. And so that has to go before the planning commission, so we're still working on that piece. Let's see. Tonight's meeting, we had 3 topics. One was the folks driving north and southbound on Hamilton Avenue in the parking lanes. So the conversation, I think we've come up with a temporary solution, and that is to put some bollards up that run perpendicular in specific areas. And again, that's temporary because Nature Works, which is working with the city through a grant for Hamilton Avenue streetscaping, has offered us some other alternatives too, so we're looking at that currently. And then we also discussed flock cameras this evening and additional flock cameras in the city of Mount Healthy. And our flock cameras, as you recall, are license plates readers, so will help us with any emergent crimes committed in the city. And so, once again, just another aid for the police to use. And then finally, concerning, we've received a lot of complaints concerning speeding and violation of other street ordinances. We discussed hiring a new police officer that is strictly for traffic control. So, and taking care of traffic accidents. And then another topic we discussed that was discussed was, it was brought up at our meeting, but we actually discussed liquor licenses with the Liquor Control Board last Thursday about how the city can be involved more in that and what some of the things that are going on with some of the liquor licenses in Mount Healthy. So more to come on that. And that is it.
Thank you, Joe. Anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you. Schools, Mr. George.
No report tonight.
Okay. Streets, Ms. Rissel.
No report except those little bump outs look pretty good out there with the flowers and stuff. They look a lot better than College Hills. A lot better.
Where are the flowers?
They're out there by the little bump outs
On Perry?
on Compton.
Hampton and Perry.
Okay.
Right at that intersection where they took out the light.
Yeah. Is there, I'm just asking this because I don't know. Is there, we have 3 intersections, 3 corners of the intersection with bump outs. Is the 4th corner gonna get bump outs or no?
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
It won't, just to answer your question, but it seemed like that corner just quickly didn't seem like it,
I
probably had the
agree.
least impact in causing crashes.
Yeah.
Turning right on was our perspective on it, so, yeah.
All right, is that all? Thank you. Questions?
Mr. Bittner, I forgot something concerning streets
Okay.
also. This is on the safety side of streets. We are receiving 3 temporary speed humps, the temporary kind, so they can be moved around. We'll be receiving those. But we're also looking at putting in the more permanent type of speed humps in areas where we're having issues, and that would be similar to what is on the north side of Harrison Avenue, right before you get to Adams Road.
Okay.
The one on Harrison's a permanent?
The one on Harrison is a
It's
permanent.
just a blacktop.
Yes, yep,
The temporary you're talking about are the ones they screw down.
that's correct. We're getting 3 of those November 1st.
Okay, well, Justin said he wasn't gonna take them up because there's 300 screws in each one. So
Well,
pretty permanent.
well, he may change his mind,
Okay.
but they're considered,
Yeah.
they might be permanent, but they're movable.
They're movable,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, thank you. Move on to the mayor's report. Ms. Moody.
Yes, first I'm going to start out kind of on a somber note. I went to the funeral of Reggie Simpson and Peggy Rissell went with me. It was very moving, the memorial service. As I went up to give my condolences, the first thing Reggie's mother said is she asked how my daughter was doing. So, you know, when you have somebody that's gone through the pain she's gone through, and the first thing she asked is, how's my daughter's doing, because my daughter was friends with Reggie. It was pretty emotional. People got up to celebrate the life that he lived. He was a good person here in town. There was one person that did get up and wanted justice for Reggie's life, which I'm sure we all want. So it was a very emotional time. She was very appreciative. There were other people in the community. And that's when I got her to come to the park board meeting tonight and come up and talk about her dilemma on Van Fleet. But there are people in Mount Healthy that were there, and it's a tough, it's terrible, the tragedy that happened at Speedway. And I do want to commend the safety committee and the meetings that have been happening to address the safety of everyone here in town, but also the recognition of how painful this is that Reggie was killed like he was at Speedway. Okay, I'm going to move on to going to the We Thrive meeting tonight. We've got Poetress grant updates. They have poetry signs that are going to be placed around certain areas of town. And on October 25th at Tikkun Farm, there's going to be the start there at 5:30. There's going to be a hospitality snack. They're going to read the poetry, the signs that are going to be there. And then they're going to be traveling. They're going to have one at the Dairy Bar, but that won't be installed until the spring when the Dairy Bar opens. There's going to be one at the community garden on the, that Trinity has, the community garden. There'll be one at the wetlands. So on October 25th, starting at 5:30, they'll be going to each location. That will be publicized more this coming week. They also talked about the pop-up, the pop-ups that we have, the traffic calming that we just talked about with the flowers there at Compton and Perry. They were very pleased the way it looks. They were planning on painting on the white paint tonight, but it rained. So they will be having a little event where people can come and kind of decorate on the white surface that was painted by Public Works this week. They also talked about the Peachtree event on October 31st. And we started We Thrive assessments. So what we do is they go through with people in the community that come to the We Thrive meetings, and they start asking questions about assessing the community. What are some of our needs? What are some of the things we do? And that will be going on probably for the next 2 or 3 meetings. I appreciate all the people that are at the We Thrive meetings, and now that we're coordinating the grants, I think we'll be able to see a lot of movement in a lot of areas that we've talked about on safety and also in economic development, especially with the walkability project that they have and how that can help us in the future. I know Scott's going to talk a little bit about the streetscape, but people that went to that meeting, it was a lot of fun. We got to vote on some great things. Metro was there, which really helped. Also, some of us met with the village administrator of Lockland to kind of coordinate what the struggles that they're having in Laughlin with economic development, and what we're doing here. I thought it was a very productive meeting. It's kind of nice to talk to small cities or villages that we have commonalities as far as things that we're accomplishing and things that we're struggling with. So that was a nice meeting. Fibonacci Farmers Market, they had the last one, and Third Century was there with a booth to also showcase the community survey that we not only have on our website, but they have on their website, and that the application for facade improvement, they're making sure that businesses know that there is an application to apply for facade improvement grant money if there's something they would like to improve in the front of their store, their business. And that's it.
Thank you, Jenny. Questions? Okay, moving on then to the city manager, Mr. Bauer.
Yeah, I think most of my items have already been kind of touched on, but run through these. So for the budget received, first draft from all the departments, and I forget, Bob, were we going to have one the first meeting in November to start looking at a first draft of the budget? Is that what we had talked about at our last meeting? I forget. I don't have anything on my calendar, and I can't remember what we had.
We should look, yeah, we should have one then and have a second one, 19th, well, there's something going on the 19th. We could do it on a day that's not a council meeting date, but we should have two, so we have 2 readings in December, so I will.
Do you want to aim for the 5th, at least for the first one? I don't know. We can.
The 5th, after, well, let's not make it the 5th. That's a busy day. Monday the 4th. Joe?
That's fine with me.
November.
Monday, November 4th, that, can you make 5:30 or 6 o'clock better?
8 a.m. doesn't work for you?
8 a.m. definitely does not work for me.
No, 5:30 is fine. 5:30 or
5:30?
6 or whenever.
Is that all right?
Okay, yeah.
5:30 in the city manager's office on the
Sounds
4th.
good.
If you can get the copies out to us, hopefully the Monday before that.
Yeah. Can do that.
Thank you.
Sounds like a plan. Let's see here. Compton and Perry kind of mentioned. So that fourth corner of Compton and Perry, the original design, we were going to have something on every corner. It just felt like it was squeezing the intersection too much. And we kind of talked with JMA, just, what's sort of the best practice with these things? What would you recommend? And I mean, the number one thing they said was, you're going to have to worry about maintenance because they're going to get run over. So that's one reason we put the cones out there, like, let's just see how often these cones get hit. And you could tell they were getting hit a lot. So some of it was to just not make it too tight. So that's sort of the longer version of why we didn't put one on that corner. It seemed like it needed it the least. But it's pretty much done. I think we've got maybe 2 or 3 more planters to put out there. We'll put some mums in them, and maybe we can change it out seasonally. There'll be gravel to kind of hold it down, give it some weight. And if they don't work there, we want to move them around the city, we can do that as well. I mean, they're ours, we own them. I know it's a grant through the county. So it's our materials if we would decide we want to put it in another place. We got 2 bike racks there as well. That was part of the grant. I think they hold 4 or 5 bikes. Just kind of more barriers to just add more things to that intersection to kind of grab people's attention to hopefully slow them down. So we'll see over the next few months here, maybe see if the wrecks go down. It's kind of averages about 1 a month. So, if we can go 3 months without having one or maybe only one, I feel like it's probably a success. But we'll see what happens. The whole thing was meant to be temporary. So, I mean, they understand if we hate it, it just doesn't work, we can rip them up and go back to the way it was. But kind of see what happens. Fingers crossed that it helps make that intersection more safe.
While you're there, let me ask a question. Are these things easily replaced?
Yes.
Or
So the
they got a
base
s- a
gets screwed in, and then, hopefully if it gets run over, it just breaks the top, and then you replace that part.
Okay, yeah.
So it's on kind of a swivel. We have extra of those. So
okay.
I don't know how, if we installed 20, we probably bought 40 or 60 of the top, of the top portion. So we can buy more if we need to, but if we're going through them that quick in 3 months, maybe it just isn't, I don't know. Can rethink it, but.
So we talked about like a progression thing with this, right? If we'll monitor this for 3 months and see how that's working. If it's not working so well, we could be looking at reducing a potential parking spot or 2. If that doesn't work, we could potentially be looking at a street light, potentially. So that's kind of, No guarantees,
Yeah.
no guarantees.
Money.
Yeah, I mean, the stats before the light was removed, it was probably about 2 wrecks a year, and now we're up to about
Yes.
10. So, I mean, it is a significant difference, you know, I don't know how many wrecks a year would make it okay, that we're okay with.
Yes,
We get
I
down to
know.
5, maybe we're just okay with that, you know, maybe we can never get it back down to
That's-
2 without a light, you know, that will kind of have to play by ear, but yeah,
Yep.
I agree, you know, do a few months with this setup, and then if it doesn't work, if we want to get rid of a couple more parking spots and see if that makes a change, you know.
Yep.
Whatever council would like to do. Kind of stage it.
Okay.
Let's see, Joe already mentioned the speed humps, so yeah, getting 3 more sets. We'll probably put 1 at the bottom of the hill at Adams, and then talked with Chief this morning, probably 2 on Compton seems like to make the most sense. He kind of liked the east side, but I think we're kind of up for negotiation where we want to put it. They probably work best if you put them kind of in the same area, one after another. But we got a couple weeks till they arrive, so we can kind of figure out where the best place to put those is. Let's see, Joe, I think you also mentioned for the updates to the event center regulations. So in order to change the zoning code, this is places that, you know, they'll rent out 1,000 square feet, and then they'll install 10 different suites in it or something like that, right?
No, well, basically, what the zoning part was, say if you have a building and you want to basically, you know, subdivide that up and then rent out, so.
Yeah, so this would be changing some of the text to the zoning code. And in order to
Yeah.
do that, council would sort of need to kick it to the planning commission. Planning commission would need to review it, make a recommendation, but also have a public hearing. And planning commission would make the recommendation back to council,
Yep.
where you would also have to have another public hearing about that specific topic, then you would vote on it. So that's kind of the process, and I would request that council you would just have to make, I think it's just a voice motion, or I don't know, Melanie, do they have to do a roll call if they're calling for planning commission to?
No, not a
Okay.
full roll call.
Okay, so just a motion that planning commission meet, haven't set a date yet, I've kind of reached out to everyone just to let
Okay.
them know it's coming, but just for us to have a meeting about this particular
Yeah.
topic. And I think I sent it 2 meetings ago, I can resend the specific changes to the zoning code if you want to see the wording again. I think I shared it 2 meetings ago. But so, I don't know if that's new business or where we
Okay.
would do it, but would ask for council at some point to make a motion that planning commission meet to look
Okay.
over making the recommendation to these changes.
Okay.
Let's see, we've talked about meeting with Human Nature. Yeah, that was a great meeting last Wednesday, I thought. Metro was there, gave a nice, long, and informative presentation as to kind of what they would like to see out of Hamilton Avenue. You know, I think it's important to include the bus routes. They were very appreciative as well. They said explicitly that we're usually on the back end, or after everything's already happened, when people start worrying about the Metro bus. So they are very appreciative that we brought them in on the early stages. Again, we submitted for CDBG funds for streetscape implementation. So we're doing all these studies on what we want the area to look like. Well, we've asked for money to actually implement those next year. So hopefully we can kind of work with Metro and any other business partners to, you know, implement these, you know, working on traffic, just making it more pedestrian friendly, Hamilton Avenue, just kind of working together and bringing everything together. Yeah, that was part of it.
topic of- yeah.
They addressed that. The downside of planting too many trees and not the right kind of trees. So absolutely, they talked about that, and we voted on different ways that we would like to see the trees planted. So they're getting input on that, but you're right, their trees are included. Yep.
I do have the presentation that they made where
Yes.
we actually voted on,
It was
and it was
fun.
actually what kind of treescape would you like?
Yes,
But
it
it was
was what
also,
kind of treescape.
you know, what would you like the alleys to look like? What would you like a business facade to look like? And you just, what kind of character are you looking for? So I'll share that with people, and you can vote and be included in the input, so. Let's see, UDF, I'll wait any comments for the meeting afterwards, give an update. I think that's all that I have, unless there's any questions.
Question is, you have a speed meter down on Compton, it doesn't seem to be working, or does
It's
it only
in-
come,
it's
does it
in
only come
stealth
on if you're
mode.
going a certain speed?
It's in stealth mode.
Right?
It's in stealth mode. So the thinking is if it pops up and it says how fast you're going, some people will take that as a challenge to go faster.
Uh-huh.
So keeping it without saying it will ideally give you a more honest reading of what people's natural driving is. So that's what we're doing. So we have another one that will actually tell you your speed, and it's hoping that it will.
You're just recording right now?
It is recording. You can see a flashing.
Yeah, I see it flashing,
Yeah.
okay.
But they call it stealth mode, where it doesn't actually
Okay.
visually show what your speed is. We have another one that does
You're
do
just
that.
doing a study right now.
Correct, and we'll move it around, and we have one that does actually read the speed as you drive by it.
Yeah,
to
and that's on Elizabeth Street right now,
hopefully,
northbound. Yeah.
push on your conscience a little bit, that if you see how fast you're going, you will slow down. So we're kind of trying both angles there. What's that? Does it? Yeah, that's all I had.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Bauer, thank you. Move on to ordinances and resolutions. We have 2 ordinances, no resolutions. First reading of the ordinance, number 24-2052. An ordinance amending ordinance 21-1969 and section 110 .09 of the City of Mount Healthy Code of Ordinances.
So I know Scott Solomon kind of sent an email to everybody explaining the changes. This is kind of a piggyback off the one that we passed back in 2021. Really, the last one, or the way that originally is spelled out, it kind of leaves it open to the kinds of business maybe that it would apply to. The changes in here, it's trying to make it so it's only applicable to rental halls and event centers. So it's not, every business would be required to be closed between 2:30 and 5:30. So really, it's just tightening up the legislation just to, kind of for our own benefit legislatively, that it is only applicable to event centers that are, again, trying to basically extend the bar hours.
Yep.
That's the intention of it.
Questions, council?
I would like to strike a sentence, part of a sentence in the last paragraph. Section, I guess it's now 5. From the end of the second line, which reads, "And by a 3/4 majority vote hereby dispenses with the requirement that the ordinance be read on 2 separate days, and hereby authorizes the adoption of the ordinance upon its first reading." I would like that stricken if nobody has any objection.
No.
So Scott, I don't think would have any issue with that being stricken, but he did
You would
also.
like it passed tonight?
Yes.
That's no problem. I just don't like that in the legislation, because sometimes we can't even do it.
Sure. So I would be fine with that, and Scott Solomon would also be fine with that.
Any other questions, council? Did you get that?
So then we would just take out all of section 5 then at that point, right? It would, because that's a,
Taken out from "and by a 3/4" all the way down to the red line.
okay. I was trying to make sure I read it correctly,
So it just says, doesn't make us have to do that, but we can do it.
if we need be.
We can do it in one reading, but we don't have
Like
to.
we do other ones.
So you're leaving the
Okay.
first 2 lines, basically, in general?
Leaving in the first 2
Okay,
lines. It
yeah.
says it's an emergency.
Yep.
So it would be a period after residence. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? And you wanted to pass it tonight?
I make a motion to suspend the 2 reading rule and on ordinance 24-2052 as amended.
Okay, Mr. Redding has made a motion to suspend the 2 reading rule. Ms. Gristle has seconded. Roll call vote.
Mrs. Lingo?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons? Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mrs. Rissel?
Okay, by a vote of 7-0, 2 reading rules has been suspended. Before we move on, is there any other questions or comments regarding this ordinance?
No.
Then I would ask for a motion to adopt.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance number 20-2052.
Okay, Ms. Dosa has made a motion to adopt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms.,
It's sure.
yeah, Ms. Lingo. I had to think about it, but I got
You
it.
always have to forget my name.
Ordinance be a 24.
What's that?
Be a 4.
Yeah. It's a 4 on mine.
All right.
You got a faulty one.
Okay.
Roll call.
Mrs. Lingo?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mrs. Rissel?
Okay, by a vote of 7-0, ordinance number 24-2052 is adopted. And our next ordinance, ordinance number 24-2053. An ordinance adding section 110.10, security guard required at retail businesses open to public between the hours of 2:30 and 5 a.m. to the City of Mount Healthy Code of Ordinances.
So this basically came out of our meeting on Tuesday, Safety Committee meeting. We workshopped this with Scott Solomon, had some great discussion. I talked with Chief Deidesheimer this morning, asked him if he thought that he felt that this would do, good for the city. And he, in short, he said yes. He'd expressed some reservations after the meeting on Tuesday, just that, if we require people to have, businesses to have security, it's what kind of security are they going to have? If you just, you don't want to just strap a gun to any person and say, hey, keep this place secure, right? You want to make sure it's the right people. He also worried that even if you have police officer listed, you may not be able to get officers to volunteer for the shift, for the detail. So the way this is written, I feel like it makes sense. He feels like it makes sense. It requires a police officer, so you know that they're trained. But then it says even if they can't get an officer, they can't just say, well, we tried when we still want to stay open. I mean, you have to have a police officer there between 2:30 and 5, or you can't be open. So it's requiring someone to have certified, legitimate resources available for security. And if they don't have it, they're not allowed to be open. So.
What if they want to hire a security firm that's a legitimate security firm, but not police officers?
In the second page, 110.10A, it says.
Required,
which one is it? Is it line 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, police officer?
Security guard here.
A sworn police.
A sworn police officer, otherwise employed by a governmental entity, shall be armed. It doesn't say that they could have a security company.
I guess as long as they're a sworn police officer, right? Is that what you're?
I don't know, are security companies,
I don't know that either.
Yeah, I'm
don't
not
know.
sure if they're like,
Be something to look at.
if Wells Fargo or
yeah, that's a type.
Brinks or.
Pinkerton or-
Pinkerton, yeah.
I mean, this is one that can be done in 2 readings. If we want something like that
Yes.
clarified, I could have.
I think we should clarify
so,
that.
too.
The other thing,
2 readings is fine for it, so I can bring.
the other thing I asked Scott about, this is talking about 2:30 to 5 o'clock. And in our other ordinance, we're saying businesses can't be open from 2:30 to 5:30. So I asked him about that. I says, shouldn't this say 5:30? And he says UDF opens at 5, but that's not going to be allowed anymore with our other ordinance.
So the one we just.
I'm sorry, it will, because the first one just talks about it.
Event halls.
Event halls,
Event
yes.
halls.
Yeah.
So they can open at 5.
Correct.
Yes.
Will they have to have security between, no, they won't.
They won't.
This says 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
till-
that they are related,
Clear,
so
I'm
it's.
clear.
One's trying to tighten up the other so that it's not related to so they're not separated.
I was confused, sorry.
And I guess, just real quick, so Scott Solomon, is kind of confused with UDF. He says he can make it, he had a meeting at New Richmond, he can come here, he had been intending to come to the work session afterwards. Do we want him to still attend? I don't know, he just texted me right now. He could get here by 8:30.
I would like him to be here. That's half an hour.
We'll ask more questions and drag
Can
it
we
out.
just ask him questions through the
Yeah.
phone? Can we just text him the questions?
Call him and have
Call
him be
him.
on speaker.
Phone
Be on
in,
the phone while we're having the meeting?
phone in.
talking about having a first reading on this then?
Yes.
Website. There's a icon that, it's called Click Fix is Now Feedback. All you gotta do is click on that and follow the prompts, and you can register any complaints that you might be seeing, tall grass, or, you know, and it doesn't have to be a complaint. If we're doing something good, I would like to hear about that too, so, or anything, anything that goes on in the city that you would like to report on, we'd greatly appreciate. So, and it has been underutilized, and I think it's just because we haven't done a good enough job of getting the word out. So, so this starts getting the word out. So, and secondly, I guess I'd like to make a motion for Planning Commission to meet at their earliest convenience. And I don't know if that takes a voice vote or
Planning
just
Commission to meet for what?
to meet for, geez, been through so many, for,
Updates.
for
What Scott was talking about.
Updates to the zoning
towards
related to
zoning on
suites
business,
and-
zoning businesses and how they sublet their business.
Subletting
Air-
business.
Yeah, their square footage on, and all that, so, on how much they sublet their businesses for.
Yep.
So,
Sounds good.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Does everybody understand that motion and second?
Yep.
so just real quick, basically, if you have a business that's 500 square feet, we're looking at, hey, what's the minimum you're allowed to sublet that to? How many offices can you put in a 500 or 1,000 square foot building?
And the planning commission will,
What's the minimum size of a sublet?
I believe it's
Yes.
1,000.
Booth or office?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, this is for warehousing.
Yeah.
I'd have to look through here. But we're gonna say one tenant per suite or building is permitted. And then and it's not that someone couldn't still chop up a building, but you just get a permit
You
for it,
gotta
right?
get a-
We'd have to approve it and,
You have to
Yes, we'd have
register the
to,
business.
yes.
yeah, register the businesses.
Register all the businesses,
Yeah.
right, that,
Sublet, yeah.
so if you all remember, on top of the old Mount Healthy Savings and Loan, there were a couple attorneys up there that had offices on the second floor, I believe, so, so it's stuff like that.
Mhm.
that would include somebody like, Lord, Bob Curley had the antique mall. Only 10
Well,
square
those
feet.
are,
That was consignment.
that was consignment, so that's a little bit different. They had their booths, but well, it wasn't, I guess it was considered a
It's
business.
all under one business.
Yeah.
It was all under one business, where these
Yes.
have
Right.
different business
Yeah,
names
'cause
inside.
I'm not sure how their model was, but he might get, because they were there, he was either getting a percentage of sales or they were paying him a rent, so.
Yeah.
But it was, obviously,
Okay.
they weren't there all the time, so.
We have this motion on the floor, been seconded. Voice vote?
I think so.
Voice vote?
Yeah.
Or-
And I vote, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So everybody knows what's going on here on this, right? You still remember? Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Any other new business?
Question, will the Mount Healthy celebrate trick or treat from 6 to 8?
Yeah.
Is that what we'd like to do? Let's see here.
That's the normal time period, I think.
Yeah. 31st is a Thursday. Could do that day, 6 to 8.
Yep.
Anything else, council? Any other new business?
Not new business, but just a reminder that we're having a park commission meeting November 19th, 6 o'clock in Chambers.
Thank you.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Ms. Lingo has made a motion to adjourn. Do I have
On
a
to our
second?
next meeting.
Second?
Ms. Dosa seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Work session in just a couple.